Hello and welcome to our ULBC YouTube channel. I'm Yada Emilia Band and today I'm here with our guest Arnaud. Could you please introduce yourself and tell us a bit about your background?
Yeah, thank you, Jed. So I'm Arnaud Lumet. I'm co-founder of Ukraine-Luxembourg Business Club. We started our adventure in 2017 with Evgenia Pali and Maria Dobra-Stamat. So I'm personally 8 years in Luxembourg. I was already supporting Ukraine before. I started my adventure with Ukraine when I was a student in Warsaw University in 2005. So then I understood that Ukraine is a great country, so I decided to support as much as I can. So I started with Maidan in 2013, and after there was opportunity to create this business club in Luxembourg, I took it, and we started 5 years ago now.
And what brought you to Luxembourg originally?
Me, I'm French, but I came to Luxembourg for work and live.
And how did the ULBC come to life?
It was, for the beginning, Yevgenia had the idea to create this business club. So she contacted many people and we discussed about it. And then one evening we were in the bar and we discussed, okay, let's do it. Just like this, because we understood that Ukraine is, and Luxembourg has a lot in common to share. So it will be an opportunity for everyone to do it. So
so you knew it was necessary to create a club to bring together. And what would you say the main purpose is of the club?
The club at the very beginning was to connect Ukraine and Luxembourg at a different level and to try to promote the Luxembourg economy ecosystem with the Ukrainian economic ecosystem, to make matchmaking between different companies, to make events as well for networking, to see how we can trigger a nice ecosystem here in Luxembourg to support Ukraine. And how those two countries can collaborate at a different level, like political, but also economical. It was our main mission as a business club. And
with the ongoing war, how would you say the purpose has changed?
Not really, because the Ukraine economy is very important as well. But yeah, as everybody knows, we were not expecting the war. So yeah, the club as well changed a bit because we had to face this terrible event, and a lot of refugees came to Europe and to Luxembourg, so we wanted to support them as well. So the club started to launch some activities also related to business, to try to help refugees to find a job or work, but also we set up some charity events to raise money for supporting the Ukrainian economy, like the Ukrainian startups, and most recently we're raising money from like specific projects.
And who are your members at ULBC? Are there different groups of people, or who is it mainly?
There are members from Luxembourg and from Ukraine. There are individuals, like people who was very want to support Ukraine, show their support, but also people who want to discover Ukraine as a market and to make business with Ukraine. And also we have different companies from different size. Could be like very small companies until like a big corporation, like banks or law firm or something.
And why do you think people should become a member of the ULBC?
I think it's very interesting now with the war, which is terrible. In the meantime, a lot of people discover Ukraine and so see Ukraine differently. They see Ukraine as now more like a country with a lot of courage, a lot of smart people. So it's interesting to see, to come to us and to understand how to connect more with Ukraine, and it's give us so you can support Ukraine, because of course a lot of people want to support Ukraine, but in the meantime you can connect with Ukraine, and in the future I hope this war will not last forever. Then you can maybe say some opportunity to make business in Ukraine and with Ukrainian companies.
And what would you say the most effective support measure that ULBC has is? What is the most effective one?
You mean for the war? Or?
The support measure, to support the businesses, for example.
Which we did different steps for helping refugees to find a work. So it started in March, where we were part of one of the biggest job fair, movie job. And then after we structured differently a bit, and now we have already a team which is dedicated to this, and with a lot of companies in Luxembourg, or like CFL or other EIB as well, try to support refugees and to find them a job and to integrate them, So that's, I think, the most recently success story regarding the war.
So you would say that the Luxembourg business community is supportive of ULBC, or?
Yeah.
Okay.
It's a lot of people understood what is Ukraine now. A lot of people want to support Ukraine. So it gives somehow more visibility to the club, which is good because by giving more visibility to the club, it's also supporting Ukraine.
Yeah. And what are the main sectors where Luxembourg and Ukraine cooperate? So in businesses, for example?
So Ukraine is very good in several sectors, as like tech, for example.
Agriculture as well.
Agriculture as well, yeah, you're right. So agriculture is very important. Industrial features, you have a lot of big factories in Ukraine, one of the biggest arcelor plants in Europe. And also we met different events on different other topics, labor market, infrastructure, because Ukraine needs a lot of infrastructure, and it's a big country with a big population. So it's also infrastructure is a big market also to explore. But of course, tech is one of the top event. And me personally, I'm an ambassador of TechUkraine in Luxembourg, so I'm also very connected to this topic, and also very important for me to make ULBC successful with technology.
Yeah.
So soon we will have events on technology at a very big level, so we can talk later about this if you want. So.
Why do you think investors in Luxembourg should invest in Ukraine, even with the ongoing war?
Because there is a lot of specific activities in Ukraine, which is very successful and interesting for investors. You know, like this technology, for example, a lot of startups now in Ukraine are very successful. That they managed to transform Ukraine as an outsourcing country in a tech product country. So there is more and more small team of tech people who are managing to make very cool and very interesting product to invest in. Of course, infrastructure as well. Now, of course, the war is ongoing, but in a few months, maybe, or in 1 year, that Ukraine needs will be very huge in infrastructure. And I hope that all the European and all the international community will support the reconstruction or recovery of Ukraine. So it will be possibilities for investors as well to help Ukraine somehow. And agriculture, of course, is one of the most fertile soil in Europe. Very famous for that, a lot of companies. And now even with technologies, they're managing to make some very cool and interesting venture and to make agri-tech. So it means that our technology can support
putting it together,
the agriculture and making better even. And this Ukraine is doing a very good job. What is very also important regarding technology is like recently with the war, the GovTech also took a very important topic. Because Ukraine deliver a platform called DIA, and this platform deliver very interesting tech services to citizens all over the planet, and they're showing to all over the world that even during the war, you can be very effective on such things, and connecting citizens together, of course.
Yeah. And what is the current situation like for entrepreneurs in Ukraine, would you say?
Yeah, so that's a very difficult one because now we know that there is a war and Russia is targeting infrastructure. Yeah. So electricity, water, gas supply, whatever. So it's very difficult. What I know is that there is different type of refugee, company refugees. There is companies who manage to go to the west of Ukraine. I know that there is a project in Ivano-Frankivsk which is helping to shelter the companies from the east of Ukraine. And also in Europe, many tech companies move to Europe. But the problem is that many of the employees are men and they couldn't leave the country. So they have somehow to monitor from abroad, like from Poland, for example, or from Romania.
And so back to the businesses, what are some similarities Luxembourg and Ukrainian businesses have? So similarities between them, or even differences as well, would you say?
I mean, the people there here we are in one of the most important, I'd say, hub for business in Europe, in finance, for example. So I think entrepreneurship is very similar. Like a lot of people are coming to Luxembourg to set up a business because they see an opportunity, and Ukrainians also have this in the blood. It's what I feel like. A lot of Ukrainians who move to Europe, for example, due to the war, they want to set up their own business. They want to be not dependent, or they just want to do something and to manage it very well. And this, I see the spirit of entrepreneurship between Luxembourg and Ukraine, which is very strong.
What are the main challenges for people and companies from Ukraine that came to Luxembourg?
For them, it's to set up a business here. So we have to help them to set up, to go through all this administrative, to make it easier for them, and to join them, and to show as well the administration in Luxembourg that it's an opportunity for Luxembourg as well to welcome a lot of companies from Ukraine. Because if you are knowing Ukraine, a lot of people coming from Ukraine are very smart, very well educated, and they're really showing that by their mindset that they can be very successful very fast. So this is an opportunity for Luxembourg to welcome those people. It's not a risk, I think.
Yeah, and is the cost of living in Luxembourg a big problem, or because the prices are so high?
It's a problem, of course, but the states supported a lot. So they give some place to live. They try to make them access for free to many things. And an organization like ours, like Ukraine-Luxembourg Business Club, we are also helping the state to integrate better, because we understood the mindset of Ukrainians, we understood the talents. So we do these matchmakers that maybe the state here is not get used to it, Like Adam, for example, they do very good job, but in the meantime, they don't know very well how to manage and match perfectly. So what we do us as our expertise is to bring this skill to make it better, smoother, smooth.
And do you have some examples of companies that support you?
Yes, recently we did amazing event with CFL, for example, and they were very supporting ULBC and a lot of refugees. EIB, European Investment Bank, as well made an event where they were trying to support. A lot of companies are interested to support people, but it's always the same, that they don't know how to do it, and the refugees don't know how to integrate. So you need this middle organization which is doing it, and it's Ukraine-Luxembourg Business Club. So,
You mentioned that you're an ambassador of TechUkraine. Could you explain what that is to us?
Yeah, I'm ambassador of TechUkraine to Luxembourg. So TechUkraine, it's an organization who born in 2019, if I'm not mistaken, and it was about putting all different actors from Ukraine tech ecosystem in order to promote the Ukrainian tech ecosystem. So it was based in Kyiv, but they are representing the tech ecosystem. They're trying to communicate about all kind of startups and tech companies in Ukraine, and they have a lot of followers, and they do a very fantastic job by promoting Ukrainian tech company and to link this ecosystem with foreign ecosystem.
And why do you think that's so important to do?
It's very important now because a lot of people know Ukraine, people know tech in Ukraine, but there is not clear visibility on all full ecosystem. There is plenty of companies in Ukraine who are not known here, but they can bring a big value, in Luxembourg and even in Europe or in the world. So now, slowly, those companies are more and more visible because of big tech events this year, where Ukraine was very in front, like Web Summit or Slash this week. So but that's why it's important to connect those ecosystems together, because it's because of ecosystems that the companies we understood the needs and what they can bring each other, and how we can really trigger added value for the both market.
So why do you think it makes sense for Luxembourg to invest in Ukraine in regards to technology and the tech?
Because those tech companies in Ukraine are very successful, and they proved already that Ukraine already had possibility to develop some unicorns, not directly in Ukraine, not a lot, because the market was not so easy, but now we see more and more product companies. It was outsourcing. Like a few years ago, if you go to Ukraine, everybody was trying to sell you software development or some innovation center. But now it's different because those people, they create their own product, they create their own startups. So they are selling some product or solutions to the world. So they now gather investment to develop their product and sell it. So it's a perfect time for a foreign investment firm. Like in Luxembourg, there is a lot of private equity, for example, or venture capitalists to invest in a Ukrainian startup because they're growing very fast on the market. They are like very smart people, and what I see is like in 2 years they really achieve some KPI very well. So that's why it's interesting to take equity on some startup in Ukraine if they have the possibility to, because I think more and more people will understood that it's interesting to invest in those startups. So it will be more and more players who want to invest in Ukrainian tech economy.
Mm-hmm. And could you speak about the future plans that ULBC has?
Yeah, so ULBC now, this year with the war, we did a lot with refugees. We try to support them. We create charity events. And now we want to go back to business, more like to set up a big business forum in the end of January with a charity dinner, of course, because the war is not finished and there is still a lot of needs in the Ukrainian economy, in the Ukrainian refugees. So, but in the meantime, we want also to connect more the Luxembourg economy with the Ukrainian needs in economy. Yeah. So we decided to make a big business forum in the end of January with different parts like infrastructure, will be as well energy maybe. We will do the tech, of course, agriculture. So the idea will be to gather in Luxembourg a lot of decision makers, a lot of ministries, a lot of people who can take decisions on different fields, and mix with the investors, like institutional investors, but also private investors as well. Like a lot of private equity funds here, a lot of investment funds here, but also we have the chance to have big institutions from EU who also manage finance here. So.
And do you have some examples of the ministries that will be coming?
Yeah, so we expect nothing is totally, we're still pending some, but as far as we understood, there will be a Ministry of Agriculture coming here. We do our best to bring the Minister of the Digital Transformation, but it's quite famous now because it's very visible and very mediatic. But we will do our best to bring him here because he's really show the last months that he made a very big difference with this product, even from the war perspective, but the economic perspective. So yeah, so that's 2 cases, for example. And we are still a lot of other people on the list, but we cannot communicate on the final list now. But to be honest, it will be a lot of interesting people from government and private sector. And I hope it will trigger something interesting for Ukraine as well. Because this is the goal. It's not just to make an event, it's also to trigger things that really link more Luxembourg and Ukraine and support Ukraine in the end, economically, but also differently, a different manner.
So how many people are you expecting?
So now it's difficult to say, but I think it will be a few hundreds people minimum. But we're still designing the event. But as far as I understood, every companies we see, even big players on the market here, they are interested to join the event. So I think in 1 month we will be able to communicate on something more consistent. But as far as we know, we already met some big players and they were very interested in the project. So it's a good sign to see that it will be very interesting to follow and to join, of course. And everybody is welcome to join if they are any interest in Ukraine, either to support Ukraine, either to invest in Ukraine, or to even visit Ukraine one day, because a lot of people are talking about Ukraine. But after this war, we hope that many people will have a chance to visit Ukraine. So,
So how does ULBC support startups as well?
So we made a charity event in last June, where the main purpose was to raise money to support the startup founders and the startups in Ukraine who are struggling because of the war. So we had a very nice collaboration with Lux Innovation and Luxembourg for Finance, who were our main sponsor of this event. So we managed to raise 18,000 euro in one night. So we decided to split in different startups we wanted to support. And from that, now we understood that this startup ecosystem in Ukraine is very connected with startup ecosystem in Luxembourg, is where we want to push more.
Yeah.
That's why we are doing this tech event as well. It's also to make it more visible and more, to strengthen those collaborations between those two ecosystems.
So an emphasis on supporting the startups and
startups because it's a really promising activity for Ukraine. So as far we help Ukraine to have a strong economy, less Europeans will have to invest or to give money to Ukraine, because Ukraine will have a strong economy, so they can manage after all to get faster stand-ups faster, you know. So, and the startup is one of the sector where it's very huge potential to help. So that's why we want to start Ukraine to be up as soon as possible. So we understood that the startup and tech economy is one point to really faster and to make it more faster to make it faster to Ukraine stand up again and the economy of Ukraine.
And so what are some ways in which you support the startups?
So far it was this funding plan. Now with this charity event we want to do in January, we also would like to give a part of this charity to startup. So it will be also to support the ecosystem of startup. Because we want to make Ukraine independent and strong as soon as possible. It's not to make you dependent of a foreign fund. So that's why it's our priority. We choose this priority. But the ecosystem in Luxembourg is also very strong. We see that the government is very pushing now for investing in startup. They have this Fit for Start project in Lux Innovation, which is giving funding for startups every year. And a lot of startups all over the world are coming to Luxembourg. This year, like last month, I saw that there was a Ukrainian founder who came and he won. It was one of the 15 startups who were picked on 300 startups worldwide. So he won this 50,000 euros as a starter, like boost. After, if they manage the KPIs, they can get even more money to set up a startup here, but also to develop their project.
Is it easy to start a company, would you say, in Luxembourg? Or what are some of the challenges that people face when wanting to start a startup or entrepreneurs, for example?
I think it's never easy to start a company in Luxembourg and everywhere else. But it's what we are trying to do with the ULBC, is to make understanding that as easy it's for Ukrainians to start a company, more it has a huge potential to bring a big added value for the local people here in Luxembourg, for example, because a lot of Ukrainian people are very well educated and they can bring a lot into this innovation sphere, like this Lux Innovation, this national agency is promoting innovation, and that Ukrainians can also, if they see possibilities, they can also manage to build something we can bring a good added value to Luxembourg. So to answer your question, it's not so easy to open a company in Luxembourg, but we're trying to make it easier and easier. And
in which ways do you do that? So by supporting them with, for
we
example,
have a lot of contacts with the Chamber of Commerce, also of entrepreneurship. We're trying to make them understanding that it will be nice and a good support if they let Ukrainians to open companies and
support them.
And support them as well. It's our job. It's our mission to make it. I mean, it's clear that there is Ukraine is good, has huge potential. Our mission is to make it visible and clear for everyone here. So
Thank you very much, Arnaud, for talking to me today. It was a pleasure.
It was my pleasure for me, Jade. Thank you.
Thank you very much to everyone for being with us today. We had the opportunity to talk to Arnaud Lumet, the co-founder of ULBC, and it was a great opportunity to hear why it's so important to support ULBC and Ukraine in this time. Thank you very much. Like and subscribe and stay tuned to watch our future videos. Thank you.